All About Beer receives underwriting support from the Boston Beer Company. They understand the importance of independent journalism in the beer space, and their support helps fund original work. Learn how you can affordably support journalists by visiting allaboutbeer.com/support.
Welcome to Drink Beer, Think Beer, the podcast that gets to the bottom of every pint. I'm John Holl. As usual, when disaster strikes, brewers are ready to step up to help their community. In a moment, we're going to get insight on what's happening in Los Angeles with the devastating fires and the beer you can either make or buy to help with relief efforts. But before we start, I hope you'll consider supporting All About Beer. There are a number of ways you can do it, through our Patreon, through our underwriting, and through advertising. The only way we can continue to bring you shows like this or the All About Beer podcast and articles on our site is through your support. Please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to learn more. And thanks to this episode's sponsors.
Attention brewers, registration is now open for the 2025 Best of Craft Beer Awards. This is a BJCP sanctioned competition judged by fellow brewers and industry leaders. It uses a unique set of style guidelines that champions harmonious and dynamic beers. Held in beautiful Central Oregon, it's the third largest professional brewing competition in North America and is an opportunity to have your hard work evaluated and rewarded. In addition to traditional and specialty beer styles, new this year is the hop water category. Register your beers through January 31, 2025 by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register. Don't delay. Learn more and get your beers signed up by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register.
Today's episode is brought to you by Stomp Stickers. Stomp is a proud member of the Brewers Association that produces a wide variety of printed brewery products, such as beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, and much more. Stomp's website features an easy-to-use digital design tool, low quantity orders, fast turnaround times, and free domestic shipping. Visit stompstickers.com and use code ThinkBeer for 15% off of your first order. Over the last month, the news coverage out of Los Angeles has been terrifying and heartbreaking. A number of fires driven by wind have claimed lives in tens of thousands of homes. Lives are upended, and rebuilding will take years or more. Brewers are used to stepping up in these situations, be it fires or hurricanes or floods or other natural disasters. And there's always a good bet that within a few days of something terrible happening, a collaboration beer will pop up. Brewers Anywhere can make it and then donate the proceeds to relief efforts or specific charities. Common Space Brewing stepped up this time with the We Love LA beer, and brewery co-founder Brent Knapp is here to talk about the origins of the beer and how folks can help. He's joined by Brian Avery of Bravery Brewing, who is also the president of the LA Brewers Guild, who shares what's happening with the guild, its members, and beyond. Both of them joined me via Zoom, and here's our conversation. Thank you for doing this. And Brian, I with how plugged you are into the LA beer scene, given your guild position, I wonder if you can sort of start with how things are on the ground right now, as it relates to, one, the city and the area, and then the industry as a whole, and then sort of, what you've been hearing from members.
Yeah, this is definitely not one size fits all in any way. Our county is sprawling, so the lifestyles, the business structures, the impact of the fires it's a really complex situation, the way that people have been impacted. I myself, thankfully, am about as far away from the fires as one can be while still being in LA County. So we haven't directly been impacted in the way that a lot of people have. But we're still trying to touch base with as many brewers in our county as possible to see exactly how they've been hit in the different ways. Some breweries are literally closed because they don't have their utilities operating right now, so they can't operate their tasting rooms or their breweries. And then kind of more in the middle of the spectrum, accounts that breweries service that they deliver beer to, they can't get to them, or those accounts are shut down, or employees at the various breweries across the county might have lost their homes or been relocated, so they're not working or they're not able to get to work. So it's all across the board, kind of any kind of issue you can think of. With the nearly 100 breweries in our guild, everyone's being impacted across the board.
Yeah. What have you been hearing? Hey, has there been any sort of dispatches from any of those members, any of those breweries that have stood out in your mind over the last couple of weeks?
I mean, the biggest one that is probably the scariest if any of us were in their shoes is Malibu Brewing. Their tasting room is completely shut down for the time being. They don't have a timeline when they're going to be able to get their power back up. So they can't sell beer. They can't have their employees come in and clock in. It's really tragic.
And your brewery has been open, right? As you've been over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've been open, and we're up in Lancaster. So again, we're right on the edge of the county borderline. If it wasn't for the news and social media, you honestly wouldn't even know that there was a fire to the south of us, which is pretty wild.
Well, that's interesting because I was going to ask like what the mood has been in your tap room.
Definitely one of concern. It's impacting the mood. The other thing too is we have a lot of people that have come back up here to stay with family and friends. I actually have some former employees that, because of school or just life changes, have moved down further south, and some of them are working at other LA County brewers. But I saw them last week because they came back up because they were either evacuated or the air quality was so poor that they couldn't stay where they were living. So that's kind of the connective tissue that we're having here, is a lot of people that are back or here for an indefinite period of time because they either lost their house or it's not safe yet to return to their house.
And Brent, what's it been like for Common Space over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's been heartbreaking, I think, first and foremost. But in Hawthorne, other than the smoke, which was as thick as anything I could ever imagine, and the ash, we weren't directly affected. We had a number of employees who had to evacuate or didn't have power for several days. Uh, Fortunately, none of our employees lost their housing, and all of our employees are back in their homes. But we have a bunch of people on our team. I think almost probably everyone on our team has a relative or a friend that lost their house. So yeah, no, it just starting really Wednesday morning when you woke up and our homes, the whole South Bay and kind of South Los Angeles was just enveloped in the smoke. And I walked out to my car and I'm like, holy shit, there's ash all over my car. It was bizarre, kind of just this crazy world to wake up to.
Yeah. It's I remember when I first started covering news on a national scale and being in disaster areas, I would go to local breweries because it was a way not only to get a better beer, but to sort of get a better handle on the pulse of what was happening inside of a community that was grappling with something. So sort of the same question that I asked for Brent, to you of, what's it been like in the tasting room inside the brewery, as folks have been coming in since the fires have been going on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the first few days, we're a big open style warehouse with huge loading dock doors. So generally very big open field with a large outdoor area. Because of the smoke, we closed all of our doors. So it was kind of like hunkered down. We kept our tap room open. We talked about it, like, do we need to close? And people were like, dude, if someone wants to come out for a beer, we want to be open. We were very slow for like the first 4 or 5 days, first because of the smoke and all sorts of reasons. Just very slow. I remember just the tap room had this just kind of sad feeling. Like, normally our tap room was pretty energetic, kind of upbeat people and upbeat music. It was just kind of sad, and everyone was just morose. It was just a tough time, especially those first few days. Yeah.
Obviously it's all still going on, so I hesitate to say, has the mood improved, but yeah, has there been I don't know, a cohesiveness that is sort of taken over the brewery now that people are getting out a little bit more and maybe starting to process what's going on?
I think so, and I think that extends beyond common space, but almost immediately after the fire started, a bunch of breweries started posting about collecting clothes and water and diapers and hygiene products and whatnot. And like we did, and our warehouse was stuffed. We have a big warehouse. It was full of stuff within like 48 hours. It was crazy how much stuff people donated: water, diapers, tons of extra clothes, kids' toys. Yeah, I know within a few days, a lot of breweries that had opened up these collections were posting like, "Hey, we're full. We can't take any more stuff." And then we started reaching out. We were reaching out to various shelters and entities that help distribute this stuff. And after a couple of days, most of them were saying, "We can't handle any more stuff." The number of donations was just incredible. I know I drove a van up to Glendale to try to. It was a van full of water, diapers, and clothes. Try to unload it at a shelter. They were collecting for a couple schools that had burnt down specifically, but they only took the water and the diapers. They said, "We're full. We can't handle any more clothes." So yeah, right away, I think the beer world, and one thing, breweries tend to have big warehouses. We're pretty good at collecting stuff.
Yeah.
And our customers were incredible with donating things. So I think we helped. I think all the brewers in LA County helped pretty quickly get some supplies to people to help with the immediate needs. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what we rallied around first, and then I don't want to jump into maybe your next question or future question, but then we sat down and started talking about, well, what else can we do to try to help.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the initiative in a second, but Brent, I want to jump back to you just on what Brent was talking about the donations. I imagine what was happening at Common Space, you were hearing from other members of the guild that this was happening at their places as well.
Yeah. I mean, definitely more breweries than not doing something very proactive to help. And I mean, the proof is right there that all of these various organizations were just immediately overwhelmed with shoes, clothing, hygienic products. We actually, a local nonprofit reached out, had a similar issue. They're like, "Hey, we were collecting shoes specifically, and we do not have enough space to store all these. Can we use your warehouse space for it?" It's like, yeah, we'll get it on a pallet and we'll hang tight until, this is going to be a long process as far as recovery goes. So while organizations might currently be overwhelmed with inventory, I'm sure in the very near future they're going to need more and more supplies. So just hang on to these until we're able to get them to where they need to go.
Yeah, and I want to talk about long term, as well. But in the interim, Brent, so you brought up, thinking about, okay, how can we do more here? And Common Space has sort of been, the starting point for the We Love LA beer. So can you talk to me about that? How it all came together, what your thinking was. Obviously, the beer world is not unfamiliar with stepping up when natural disasters happen. They're not unfamiliar about creating beers to help out those in need and to bring larger awareness. It could be argued, this was going to happen one way or the other. But how did We Love LA come together from your perspective?
Sure. So I was sitting in our conference room, which is kind of my office. I've taken over a corner of the conference room, so I kind of work with the team more and not in a private office. But I was looking out into our warehouse, which was at that time still about half full of donation items. Many we couldn't find entities that could handle them. So I thought, it seems like in the short term, a lot of these people, the basic needs, water, diapers, kids' toys, clothes, that stuff's kind of covered. So I started talking to the team about, I think, as quickly as that happened, obviously in the realization that this is going to be a very long-term rebuild in Los Angeles. I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. that, hey, let's do something that's a little more focused on the long term. So obviously inspired, copying Sierra Nevada and Maui Brewing Company with Brazilian's IPA and Kakua. We immediately like started talking about that and like, hey, let's do something like that. The team was immediately on board, and immediately it clicked. Like, hey, let's do this. We threw around a couple names, and then Holl, who bless his heart, he's a Giants fan. But he said, how about we love LA? And I was like, that's a fantastic name. I think that's great. And so we just started running with it. I reached out to the guild, kind of to get their blessing. I just thought, hey guys, this is a project we're working on. We're going to launch it, and we were moving quickly because we wanted to help as quickly as possible. And I reached out to the guild and got their blessing, which was amazing. And then, we launched it. It was very quick. We were trying to move quick. One of the big reasons was we had this feeling that like all it takes is another disaster to happen, and then everyone's going to forget about Los Angeles. And then I also had today in my head. I'm like, on January 20th, there's a new administration coming into Washington, D.C. And I have a feeling the media is going to focus entirely on that starting on the 20th. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to move real quickly and get as many breweries as we could signed up. And lo and behold, if you go to any major newspaper website right now, they're not talking about the LA wildfires anymore. So that was the impetus for us. And again, we also realized we aren't Sierra Nevada. We're not Maui Brewing Company. We're Little Common Space out of Hawthorne. So we knew we really needed to focus on getting as many kind of bigger name breweries signed up as possible. So Garrett Marrero of Maui Brewing Company, who's a friend of mine, I reached out to him. He was probably, I think, the first person I reached out to and said, one, just I wanted to tell them about it. I wanted to learn what, any missteps they had. What did they learn from Kakua that we could take and try to improve on? And then he immediately emailed back and said, of course, we're in, and hooked me up with his guy, Trent, which kind of helped us plan out some of the operations behind it.
I'm curious, what were some of the lessons that they learned that they imparted onto you guys? Maybe not mistakes, but just, what did they learn that made this a little bit easier for you?
The biggest thing we got from Maui Brewing Company and from the Grossmans with Sierra Nevada was collecting money after the fact was one of the biggest challenges. Particularly, I know with Sierra Nevada, I believe they still have staff working on not only finishing the collections, but also figuring out where to donate the money. Sierra Nevada raised over $15 million, which is absolutely incredible. But they had to have, that was a big challenge, the collection side.
I remember Marcus Baskerville talked about that as well with Black is Beautiful, of the, people committing and then maybe not following through.
Yep. Which I understand. I mean, the industry's in a tough spot. It's easy to say I will donate and then a couple months later, maybe not have the money. I think there's probably some instances of that. Maybe I'm being too generous. There's obviously people that are just going to take advantage of this and not donate for whatever reason, which is disappointing, but kind of out of our control. But and then with more feedback based on the Sierra Nevada project also, and I guess I should take a step back. A couple days after we launched this campaign, We Love LA, Creature Comforts reached out to us and said, hey, we were working on something similar, but we want to we want to work with you guys. We're gonna kind of stop our plan and we'd love to collaborate with you. So we immediately said, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have Creature Comforts on board. For those who aren't familiar, it's a big brewery out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Very well-known, very purpose-driven organization. But they opened up a beautiful brewery in downtown Los Angeles, maybe a year and a half ago. So anyways, they're now an LA brewery. So Creature Comforts reached out and Firestone Walker reached out and said, hey, how can we help? Let us know what we can do to help. So pretty quickly, I should say immediately, we said, yeah, let's bring these two guys on board. They have, they're a lot bigger breweries, a lot bigger resources than we have. So kind of the three of us formed a little group to make this project happen. And then I should say Creature Comforts, one of their big pieces of advice from Matt, who's their director of community impact, was he just thought we should try to move as quickly as possible. We had previously talked about forming a 501c3 to try to collect the money and then distribute it. And he recommended do this campaign, get this going quickly, have all donations go directly to a charity or two that we choose. And we just help we help market the partnership, promote it, and get people to donate directly so things move more quickly. So anyways, that's the campaign we built. Creature Comforts and Firestone Walker have been tremendous so far. And I know they're going to continue to help big time on this going forward.
So Brian, how is the guild? I mean, you got a couple of your members doing all of this, and the word's getting out. There's larger guild support, I imagine, and I'm wondering, how the guild is getting involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, as this project kind of finalizes, because it's still, in the development stage, we're just doing everything we can to spread the news, to give it kind of our seal of approval, to help legitimize it, get the word out, get as many guild brewer members on board as possible. We're sitting at about 85 breweries in our guild membership right now, so it's really nice to see a lot of them already signed up for this cause. And then just going up the chain as well, using our relationship with the California Craft Brewers Association. Lori Porter and Julian Schrago, both board members on the CCBA, have already stepped in and been helping us out in various ways. So yeah, just going up, going down, going left and right, and trying to get the word out, and making sure that brewers are doing everything that they need to according to the ABC regulations, and just trying, as Brent was saying, trying to avoid whatever pitfalls previous attempts at this kind of thing have fallen into, and do as much good as possible.
I like that. Hey, Brent, you mentioned working with some charities just right off the bat. Who did you all pick and why?
So on the recommendation of Matt from Creature Comforts, based on his research, we chose the United Way of Greater Los Angeles. They started a fund specifically for the LA wildfires called the Wildfire Response Fund. And 100% of donations this fund receives are supposed to stay in LA and be focused on long-term rebuilding. So that's definitely where we wanted the focus to be. We wanted the money that we raised to stay in Los Angeles, and we wanted it to be focused on long-term redevelopment. So that's why we chose them. At the same time, we got feedback from a lot of LA County breweries that they wanted to donate to a specific charity, which is completely understandable. We have breweries that their kids, the owner's kid's school burnt down, and that school wants to do a fundraiser to rebuild it or whatnot. So we absolutely are. We told all the LA County breweries that are participating that if you have a charity you want to donate to that's not the United Way's Wildfire Response Fund, by all means, please donate there. Just show us the documentation so we know, so we can kind of track the total impact that this project makes. But yeah, that's a little bit, that was our thinking. And our kind of thinking with why focusing on one charity. Again, Matt from Creature Comforts, his big thing was better to focus on, go deep rather than wide. A big charity like this Wildfire Relief Fund, Response Fund, can actually manage the amount of money that we're hoping to raise. He's worked with charities in the time where they can get overwhelmed. A small charity that maybe receives a $500,000 check can be overwhelmed by it and not know what to do with it and not spend that efficiently. That's a big thing for us, is that we want to make sure this money's spent very efficiently. So that was our thinking there.
I like that. And then as far as so the initiative is out there, and in some cases, like with Sierra Nevada, it was a specific beer where they made a recipe and they released it to everybody. There's a homebrew version. You all, again, I think moving pretty fast. You're leaving it up to a brewer's interpretation as to what this beer can be for them, correct?
Correct. We want it to be very open and kind of collaborative in that respect. Like brew whatever style you want. We think that's just a little easier for breweries, especially I think it also helps once all these beers are released, there'll be more variety as opposed to 100 different versions of the same beer. So yeah, that was our thinking, and also just trying to get as many breweries signed on. We're like, hey, if we offer a little bit of flexibility, maybe it'll help out. But we have gotten a few inquiries just today. We're going to post our recipe for anyone that doesn't want to write their own and just copy ours. And maybe there's some home brewers out there that would rather just copy ours. So we'll definitely post ours. I think it's being brewed this week. I got to check the calendar.
What are you guys making?
It's going to be a lager. We love making lagers. So
Nice.
yeah, it'll be a lager. Not sure on the specifics, but there'll be tons of hazy versions and West Coast IPA versions. So we thought doing a lager would fit well, and it's really approachable for kind of all of LA County is our thinking.
Yeah. I like that. And Brian, you've been talking with members, right? I mean, folks are stepping up. Have you heard of anybody brewing already?
I personally haven't. I do think it's probably a little too early for people to have squeezed something like this into their production schedule.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we do have our regular scheduled guild-wide meeting coming up the beginning of February. So that'll be a great chance for, I'm anticipating a very large turnout for that meeting in February. And I think we'll find out what a lot of people are doing and how they're planning on, releasing it, whether they're going to do release parties or who knows. There's a lot of ways we can get this out to the public.
And there's been talk of, I saw on the website, maybe even a festival.
Yeah, that would be more Brent.
Yeah, it's early on, but we tentatively have a festival. It might be on March 8th. But yeah, a big beer fest where we'd have a bunch of these beers all available. Anyways, get very tentatively scheduled for the weekend of that March 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll share details as soon as we have them together. I should add, there are a number of breweries that have told us they can't hit the March 7th date, and the beer is going to be coming later. In particular, Creature Comforts just can't get it ready by then. So there's going to be beers released throughout March into April. Obviously, like no problem. The more the merrier for us. I believe there's even some that are coming in February. We've had a few breweries reach out and say, hey, we had this IPA we brewed last week in the tank. We don't even have a name for it. Can we just call it We Love LA and go along with your campaign? And we're telling them absolutely. The more the merrier to us. We're just trying to do anything we can to boost participation by breweries.
Yeah. And there's pretty distinctive art on there as well. And then you're asking folks to put QR codes on the can as well. So to sort of help get the word out and then maybe help track this a little bit more. But tell me about the artist.
Sure. So Priscilla Witt is a friend of ours that painted a huge mural in our tap room. When we opened our tap room, it was just a very sterile white box because we just painted white. It was pretty boring and sterile, except for the one thing we could afford was this beautiful mural by Priscilla. So we've gotten to know her over the years. She's done some other artwork for us. She's an LA resident. She lives in Culver City along with me, and our friends play AYSO soccer together, or our kids play AYSO soccer together. So anyway, she was the first person we thought of to do the artwork. I kind of asked, hey, any way you could do it at a discount? She said, stop, I'll do it for free, of course. So she's a wonderful person, a tremendous artist. She does murals all sorts of places throughout Los Angeles. You'll walk into a hip restaurant and go in the bathroom and you'll see one of her murals. So it's pretty cool. And we're honored to have her be a part of this and really grateful for her.
That's incredible. I love that. Um, so Brian, as you start to think long term for your guild members, um, where are you starting to put your thoughts? And where is the need going to be? Where should the efforts be? How does I mean, let's take LA out of this and sort of just think about, LA breweries. Um, what's the what's the long-term need? What's the long-term plan or goals as you see them right now?
Yeah, I think honestly, this is kind of an interesting opportunity to really kind of take control over of the narrative. I mean, we as brewers and those people that are really involved, such as yourself in the beer community, know how important breweries are to their community, to like, the fabric, the literal makeup of the communities that they exist in. And so I think that coming at this right out the gate, getting people to help us help ourselves to rebuild after the destruction from the fire, um, is huge. And it's there's very few businesses that have the unique opportunity that beloved community driven craft breweries have, as far as getting the community involved and um, making sure that this story is being told. So as we are coming out of just the initial destruction and getting through the rebuilding phase, just showing everyone that this is what breweries always have been about. It's more than just make beer, sell beer. We're a collection of people that were typically doing something before we got into this crazy industry, but we
Yeah.
got into it because we saw the good that's there, the connection with other people. And I mean, that's what this is all about, is finding people that need the help, finding people that need that extra support right now, whether it's financially, spiritually, whatever it is, and either doing it directly ourselves or connecting with people that can do it most effectively. So I just this whole period of time, I know it's going to last a lot longer than anyone's probably anticipating it, is going to be a very interesting chapter in the LA beer story. And I'm expecting a lot of remarkable little stories that come out of this. And it's really special to have the opportunity to be this involved with it at this point in time. This is completely unprecedented. Caught all of us with our pants down, but we're just going to make this happen. That's what we've been doing for a long time as LA Brewers, and we're going to continue doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, and you all are still in the thick of it. I did, Brent, go check the CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post all have. Obviously, we're recording this on January 20th, about 6 hours after the inauguration. So that is the top story. But LA has not been forgotten yet by the national media, and I don't suspect it will be anytime soon. But I want people to, obviously, you know, pay attention to what you all are doing, because this is going to be a long road. Brent, how do you want people to get in touch? Where do you want people to be um, connecting with you all and staying apprised with you all? I know there's a We Love LA Instagram, but there's the website. There's Common Spaces website. Like, how do people stay in touch?
Yeah, best way, follow us on Instagram, We Love LA on Instagram. And then the website is welovelabeer.com. That's welovelabeer.com. We wanted to build a totally new website that wasn't associated with Common Space, just to kind of separate this as its own entity. So yeah, welovelabeer.com, and you can learn more about this. Breweries can sign up there. If your brewery hasn't signed up, and I urge you, go to your local brewery, tell them about this if they don't know about it. If they don't want to sign up, ask them why. They can email me if they have any questions, brent@commonspace.la. Happy to answer any questions from any brewery. But yeah, we right now we're still in this phase. It's so new and early on. We're just pushing on trying to get as many breweries as we can to participate. So yeah, and please spread the word to other breweries, to your favorite breweries. Convince your favorite brewery and wherever you are to get other breweries and their guild signed up. That's really our big push right now.
Yeah, I like that. Brian, if folks want to keep up with what's going on with the guild, how do you suggest they do that?
Instagram and Facebook are both great contacts. You can also go to, I forget what our direct website is.
Sorry, I should have given you the heads up. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. But all the member brewers are listed there on the LA Brewers Guild website as well.
It's labrewersguild.org. Sorry to interrupt. labrewersguild.org.
Perfect. So that's a great resource too. And when the details for the festival or whatever the event ends up shaping out, that'll be there on the landing page as well for people to find out.
Well, thanks to you both for the report of what's happening out there and the work that you all are doing and the awareness that you're driving. I'm deeply appreciative of the two of you spending some time talking about this. And once everything calms down and it feels responsible to travel, I'm looking forward to revisiting LA and spending a lot of time in all of your tap rooms. So Brian and Brent, thanks for the time this week. Thanks for doing what you do.
Of course. Thanks for having us. And please let us know whenever you come to LA. We'd love to host you. Both of us would love to host you.
Yep. Thanks for covering, John. Appreciate it.
Are you a brewery making the We Love LA beer? I hope so. So tell me about it. You can get in touch via email. It's John Holl, JOHNHOLL @allaboutbeer.com, or you can just tag All About Beer on social media @allaboutbeer. You should also follow those accounts as well. The only way that we can keep doing this show or our other shows or pay writers for original articles and content is with your help. Please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to learn more. Before we go, here's a word from this week's sponsors. Don't stop at just stickers and labels. Stomp Stickers has everything you need for festival season. From canopy tents to flags to table covers and banners, it's all waiting for you on their website. Check out their brewery section for the full lineup.
Attention brewers. Registration is now open for the 2025 Best of Craft Beer Awards. This is a BJCP sanctioned competition judged by fellow brewers and industry leaders. It uses a unique set of style guidelines that champions harmonious and dynamic beers. Held in beautiful Central Oregon, it's the third largest professional brewing competition in North America and is an opportunity to have your hard work evaluated and rewarded. In addition to traditional and specialty beer styles, new this year is the hop water category. Register your beers through January 31, 2025 by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register. Don't delay. Learn more and get your beers signed up by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register.
Don't forget, All About Beer has a podcast channel. Search and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Steal This Beer has new episodes every Monday, and the BYO Nano podcast comes out on the 15th of every month. And be sure to check out probrewer.com each week for original articles from the All About Beer team. As for this show, Nate Schweber does our music, Jeff Quinn designed our logo, and I'm John Holl. New episodes release every Wednesday, and that's when I'll be back again to drink beer and to think beer.